Good morning and welcome to our Generations Magazine webinar for this month. I'm Malin Moore, your host for the next hour, and today's webinar is entitled Seniors and Pets. And our guest today is Jenny LeMaster, who is the Senior Manager, Customer Experience from the Hawaiian Humane Society here in Honolulu. Got a couple of technical notes for you. First of all, if you'd like to ask a question, just hit your chat button there on your Zoom screen, and you can type in your question. We'll relay it to Jenny, and she can take care of it. And but another thing to keep in mind, though, is you're not going. This is a Zoom, not a Zoom meeting, but rather a Zoom webinar. So it's a little bit different. The participants aren't visible, but other than us, so you get to look at Jenny and me for the duration. But feel free to ask your questions as we go along this morning. Want to get underway right now? Let's welcome Jenny LeMaster from the Hawaiian Humane Society. Jennifer, how you doing? Good
I'm
idea.
great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this topic. It's actually one
Yeah.
of my favorite topics.
Well, we've never done a webinar on seniors and pets before, and we thought it might be valuable. We get a lot of questions from our readers about what's the best kind of pet to get, and should I adopt a puppy or a kitten? And maybe you can kind of shed some light on that. I know it's there's a lot of variables involved, but what's your take on that?
There's a lot of variables involved. So I'm kind of going to start from the top as far as the reasons people tend to look to adopt and the benefits of adoption, because there's a lot of mental and physical benefits as well. So there's 6 main benefits to pet ownership. One is providing a sense of calmness. They actually have studies that have shown that pet ownership actually helps relieve stress and anxiety. About 15 minutes of bonding time with an animal will increase the production of serotonin and decrease this cortisol. And this can help lower heart rate, blood pressure, stress levels, definitely anxiety. That's why you see a lot of people having service animals, emotional support animals, those kind of things, because of that that stress and anxiety aspect of ownership. Companionship obviously is pretty obvious. You're never alone. Your pets love you regardless, and provide with unconditional love. So if you had a bad day or whatever it is, not feeling well, your pets are always there, and they just love you. So daily exercise, super important. Coming home, for me, taking the dogs for a walk kind of gives that, de-stress kind of aspect of it. Daily exercise. It's one of the ways my mom just adopted, actually, and she is an avid RVer, and she's by herself. So she was looking for a companion, more of that security aspect as well. And it gets her out. She walks about 3 times a day, so just gives that enrichment and exercise for both pet and owner. And then obviously the sense of purpose. You're taking care of something that needs you. You have to provide the companionship, the basic necessities, providing their exercise, medical care. And pets really do pull people out of their shells, because you have to kind of, sort of forces you to go out and connect with others through walking, through those enrichments, going to dog parks, things like that. And then obviously the sense of security. That's a lot of dog, that's the aspect of dog ownership. Is if you are by yourself, they'll alert you to strangers, anything passing by. Just gives you a little bit of extra sense of security. I know it did for me when I was living by myself as well. My parents always felt better, having an animal around. Same with me. I feel a lot better with my mom being, by herself and traveling a lot, of having that companion as well. So, and again, it just provides the aspect of staying social. You take your pets to the groomer, the pet store, play dates. There's a lot of different dog. If you have like a purebred, they do, there's a lot of local clubs and things like that they do get-togethers and play dates. And then, there's training, you take your animal to training, and then walks, again, just keeping everybody involved in the public life. So things to consider for adoption, really these are the main things: the cost of care, lifestyle, commitment level, and then making sure you have a plan. Cost of care is huge. If you are looking, puppies and kittens are adorable. They're also going to cost you the most. So a puppy in itself will need continuous follow-up care for their boosters, their vaccines, monthly treatments. They're going to need the spay and neuter, unless you're adopting through the shelter, which is what we recommend. So puppies generally are going to cost you about $800 off the bat for a lot of that stuff, that immediate follow-up care. And then you have the training aspect. Do you have the time and energy to provide that training? Looking at different breed types. We were just talking about Labradoodles. Super cute. They're hyperallergenic, but they are one of the highest energy breeds as well. And so people kind of get into it, I think, sometimes with pet ownership based off of looks and not necessarily what would be the best breed consideration for them. Your smaller dogs are going to tend to be more of your lap dogs, things like that. So and again, it's just your commitment level. Are you home often enough? Are you active? Are you traveling a lot? Are you wanting to travel with your pet? You have to be able to, who's going to take care of that animal when you are traveling, which I think travel would be the number one thing. Snowbirds, things like that. So are you able to take your pet with you? And then just having kind of that plan for your pet in general, again, with, boarding, doggy daycare, and, even what happens to you when you're gone. We do see a lot of animals come into the shelter after family members have passed and things, and there was no plan for that animal afterwards. And then they end up back in the shelter. So just a lot of things to consider as far as that. Kittens are a lot easier than puppies. Cats are easier in general. They're lower maintenance a lot of the times, unless you have, something that requires constant grooming, things like that. And then, you have small animals. There's an aspect of it. Their cleaning and feeding and things is a little bit more laborsome. But cats probably one of the lowest maintenance animals, for sure. So a kitten would be probably less energy than a puppy, I think, as far as, they don't need to be walked and things like that. So, and they tend to, they're kind of naturally litter box trained, and a lot less training there. So
What would you consider? Is there a best breed for, say, it's a person, a senior that is maybe not as mobile as they used to be, don't get around as much. So maybe a dog isn't the best choice, but are there breeds that are better than others for people like that?
Definitely. It's very dependent, generally on the age of an animal. So we do a lot of senior matchmaking at the shelter. And we do have people come in with wheelchairs or, walkers, things like that. And which is why we do recommend senior animals. It's less about breed and more about personality type. Larger dogs, if you're going to get them younger, that's obviously going to be very difficult. They're going to pull on leash, they have to have that leash training, things like that. Senior pets, regardless of breed, a lot of times they're already trained, they're house trained, they are slower, low energy, much easier walked. We do get small senior dogs that point in their life, they do make good companions for those that are in wheelchairs. They'll lay in a lap. My dog will lay in a lap all day long, no problem. And then cats is a good choice as well. Kitten's not going to want to stay on your lap for too long. But again, a senior cat that is more along the lines of lounging, definitely a great companion.
I saw on your website that you give a discount on adoption if it's a senior adopting a senior
Yes.
animal.
Most shelters and a lot of other rescue organizations do have senior for senior programs. It's one of our best matchmaking tools. And we also have, generally pretty low return rate for animals because for senior animals, like I said, what you see is what you get at that point. It's not a puppy. You don't know how a puppy is going to turn out. It's completely dependent too on your level of commitment. Because I work at the shelter all day and it's so much energy, when I come home, I know my level of commitment is a lot lower. I can do walks because that's good for my stress level and things too. But my husband and I have always adopted senior animals because I know when I come home, they're happy to mostly, hang out on the couch or hang out in the yard. Things like that. So we do offer for 55 and up, we do senior for senior. So it's waived adoption fees for cats and dogs. And it's just hugely successful. A lot of times if they're owner relinquished, we have the background so we know they're house trained. A lot of times it's pretty easy to tell if those guys are house trained as well because they're not going in their kennels. You can see if they're barking. Stuff like that. You can take them out and actually walk them. You can see if they're good on a leash. My dog, my smallest dog, Frank, he actually, his previous owner had a walker. And so he already knew how to walk at a pretty slow pace. Yep. And he does really, really well. And then, we have a senior cat too. So, and she just likes to, she'll come home, she'll sit in your lap. She's equally fine. It's just that energy level again. And then when you adopt from a shelter, we typically take care of those larger costs, the medical costs. I don't think people realize how much we actually do for the animals before they go out for adoption. So if you have a senior pet that comes into the shelter, a lot of times they need dentals. And that is one of the number one expenses for a pet.
And you take care of that before
yes,
they're
we
adopted?
take care of the dentals prior to adoption. So if they need teeth pulled, a cleaning, things like that, we do all of that. Again, my smaller dog, he was a senior. He actually was transferred in from another shelter because they could not afford his dental. They didn't have vets on staff, and so they had to seek private practice dental care, and they were quoted about $3,500 for his dental. So it was full mouth extractions. And we actually did that prior to that. So benefit of that is no bad breath because he doesn't have any teeth. So so we take care of that expense. If they have masses that need removed, we'll take care of that, sending those masses in. So a lot of those health issues that they may have, we typically will take care of. There are some things that are, going to be kind of maybe chronic, like they might have a little bit of arthritis and that may continue to develop, things like that, such as with humans. But yes, so a lot of those major medical expenses we're taking care of. If one comes in with a little heart murmur, we can take x-rays, do all that stuff. So
this is a good point. I got a message in chat a few minutes ago, but this is a good time to ask it. They were asking about pet insurance and whether it's any good and whether it's worth getting.
Pet insurance is good. A lot of people have it. I don't, but my husband's a veterinarian, so I get that. I get that aspect of it. But yes, we definitely recommend pet insurance. So pet insurance won't go back and cover previously diagnosed things, but they will cover from what your animal is from the point that you get that animal on. So if anything new develops, a mass maybe that wasn't there before that needs to be taken care of, things like that, that would be covered under your pet insurance. So it is definitely recommended if you do adopt a young pet as well, a puppy, a kitten, anything, from that point on, because that will cover everything, throughout the life of that pet.
Is it very expensive or?
They vary. Different. There's so many different kinds of pet insurance. They do vary, and it also varies on the age of the pet. When you get them, it just depends. A lot of vet clinics too, for people that don't want to do pet insurance, they do care credit. So it's more of, like along the lines of sort of like a credit card or those kind of things, but it's just a payment option, a payment schedule versus the pet insurance side of things.
So it easiest for people just to Google it, or do you have anything on your website, any recommendations?
Yeah, you can Google it. We don't have anything definitive on the website regarding pet insurance, just because there's so many different ones out there. We don't have one that, we're that is sponsoring things like that. So definitely your veterinarian would be able to recommend what they feel like is the best, because again, it also is dependent on your animal.
Okay, so best to check with your vet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And make sure they obviously take the insurance. Okay.
Yeah.
What about, if we could kind of go back, could you kind of run through all the steps of adopting a pet for seniors? Yeah.
For seniors? Yep. So you can go to our website if you want to see what we have out for adoption. The website operates in real time. It'll have the animals' ages on there. So we consider anything 6 and up as senior. So it's senior humans 55 and older, and senior pets is 6 years and up. So if whatever you see on the website would qualify for senior for those. And then if you want to come in and meet an animal, you can come in, spend time with that animal, let us know what your lifestyle is. We can give kind of the background recommendations, things of that nature. Obviously, if you adopt a 6-year-old, you're going to have them for a little bit longer than you would have, your 12, 13-year-old, generally speaking.
Right.
So again, it's that level of commitment. They're a lower commitment animal, obviously. We also do companion profiles. So if you're not finding something that's a match for you, or you are, maybe have a specific disability that you need to work with, our adoptions counselors and things, when those animals come in or they come out for adoption, they can kind of screen early on and then call you if we have a match, so that way you can come in and meet with that pet. We don't get a lot of purebreds. We get a lot of questions about purebreds. We don't get them a lot. But then when it rains, it pours. So we've been, sometimes we see a bunch of French bulldogs, things like that. But I probably wouldn't recommend that necessarily for a senior, again, just because it's a high energy breed. And then a lot of times, again, when looking at breeds and things, sometimes your snub nose animals that, they have the smooshed in faces here in Hawaii, they kind of come with their own precautions. They can't be outside they can't go on long walks, outdoors for extended periods of time because they have a hard time breathing, especially in the heat. So so we can kind of gear everybody towards that with the animals when they do come in, and go over their specific. And then we go over all the medical that we've done for that animal. If there's anything in the future that our veterinarians have seen that, may require that extended care. A lot of times seniors, because they are home, if they're retired, or, working part-time, things like that, they're amazing for these animals that do require specific things. For certain eye conditions, they may need drops 3 times a day, stuff like that. So a lot of times we can make matches that way too, because that animal can receive the care, and then that person is willing to do it as well and has the ability to do it.
Okay, so basically go online first, kind of check out what you've got.
Yep.
And do they need to make an appointment to come in?
So when you come in, you don't need an appointment unless you have another pet at home that you want to do a meet and greet with, just because they do kind of take time. And then we have some animals that we do require meet and greets for, maybe just because they have something in their history, or they only get along with, it's a female that only gets along with males, or, whatever it is that our behavior manager has kind of flagged for that need. So we do ask people to make appointments for that, but otherwise you can just come down. We have everybody get on a wait list. So just like you do at a restaurant, And so then we just call everybody in order. The actual adoptions process, we ask that people spend, you know, a good amount of time with the animals. Sometimes people know right away that that's a match for them. Or they've been eyeballing that animal on the website for a little while. And then you come down, we give you the background information, the medical information. And then again, it's that waived fees. If we're sending that animal out with any medications that it might be on, we provide that. We also provide, we've partnered recently with Good Pup. They have an app on your smartphone, as well as you can go onto their website. So we provide 1 week free of training. And what happens is all of their trainers are certified and they specialize in specific things. So if you're working on house training or you're working on those kind of things, you have that first week free. You can schedule it. You pick the time, you pick the date, you can have as many sessions as you want. And they will match you with a trainer. And then from that point on, because it came from us, you get 20% off for life for that. So a week, I think, is generally around $20. So it just depends what you want to work with. They have different certifications and programs that you can do as well. But it's amazing, and it's video. So you're having, it's kind of like a Zoom, it's sort of a Zoom, and then they'll give you homework, things like that. But even if you don't adopt from us, that is something that we can provide.
And what was the name of that again?
It's called Good Pup. And I can send, I can forward along that flyer, and it has the QR code. So you just scan that with your phone. And that tells them that it's through the Hawaiian Humane Society. And so you get all the same benefits, whether you adopt from us or not.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. That was going to be one of my questions is about training, but I didn't realize you had that program.
Yes. And it's been amazing. We have a lot of really good feedback from that. So.
Oh, that's good to know. Are there many trainers on Oahu, or?
There actually are. Yeah. There actually are. There's, we don't work with anyone specifically. We do have options and recommendations on our website. But a lot of times trainers also are affiliated with vet clinics so that they can recommend things, specific types. There's a lot of different types. If you don't want to do it yourself, sometimes people will send their dogs to boot camp, you know, where they might be gone for a week or two or whatever it is, depending on what you want. And then you go back, the trainer trains you on what they've worked with on the animal. I know some people that have done that and has been hugely successful. You know, and just like the day-to-day things, sometimes dog walkers also are certified trainers. So there's a lot of information out there. We just kind of recommend that, you know, when you're looking, definitely check references, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really important.
Yeah.
And how do you know how well a dog is trained? Do you guys kind of figure that out when a dog comes in, or?
Well, if it's an owner surrender animal, we rely heavily on the information that they've given us.
Awesome. Yeah.
So a lot of times, you know, we have that information based off of that. If it's a stray and we don't have any background information, it's usually just what we've seen. And so we also rely heavily on our dog walkers. They definitely notice if an animal is house trained, as does staff, because they're coming in the next day to clean and the kennel is immaculate. And as soon as you take that animal out for its first walk, it's, you know, it's going to the bathroom. Definitely, again, with the barking, I noticed my dogs, both when they were in the shelter, neither one of them really barked. And sometimes, you know, being at the shelter, you have a bunch of barkers and then they may start barking, but largely, if they're not barking in their kennels, things like that, that gives you a good point of reference for, okay, that, you know, see how that animal is behaving at the shelter where it's the most stressful and the most likely to bark, and it's not. That's a pretty good indicator of a quieter pet.
Right.
And then our adoptions representatives as well will kind of work with them and, you know, just try sit. The volunteers, same thing, working with enrichment. And just seeing like, what do they know? Can they sit? Do they know how to stay, heel, stuff like that? So the longer they've been there, the more we know about them.
Right. Let's talk about cats for a minute. Is the whole procedure pretty much the same with cats as
Yes.
it is with dogs?
Cats is the same. Like I said, it's again lower. They're lower maintenance. You can train a cat to do different things as well. A lot of that is clicker training. Good Pup does not have a cat aspect right now. They are working on it, however, so that'll be exciting when it comes out. But again, it's the background information. We can obviously observe, are they using their litter box, things like that. And cats, their behavior is a lot of times just based on their age too. Obviously, again, kittens are younger, they're gonna be a little bit more wild, they're more likely to be mouthy, with your hands and things like that. But the actual adoption process is pretty similar.
You used to have, and I haven't been down since COVID,
Mhm.
so I don't know if things changed a whole lot. You used to have that cat house or whatever it was called, where you could go in and play with the kittens and the
Yep.
cat. Is that still going on?
Yep, we still have that. So we have two cat houses. We have Cat House Blue and Cat House Green. And then Cat House Green, all of the cats are in the rooms. They're freely roaming, interacting with each other, things like that. You can play with them in there, give them treats. And then Cat House Blue, we generally have one cat out at a time. They may not get along with other cats, or we do separate cats that have FIV, which is an autoimmune disease that they get. So we do have those guys separated from the other ones, although it's not something that's typically transferred easily anyway. But yeah, so you can go in and play with those as well. And our volunteers that are enrichment volunteers for cats are excellent at providing a lot of the information. They spend the most time with the cats, so they can gear you towards one if you're wanting one that's more outgoing. Sometimes people don't want that lap cat because it won't leave them alone. They can't do anything. It just depends. And actually, one of our volunteers is a certified cat behavioralist as well. So, and she does work with people too. So she is on campus a lot, and she's phenomenal to talk to when you're looking for a pet.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
It said on your website that you guys take in 50 animals a day. Is that?
Yeah, we typically, and then in the summertime, it's usually more because again, we call it kitten and puppy season where, it's warmer out and that's when cats breed. It slows down in your colder months, but Hawaii is obviously pretty warm year round. So we see them year round, but definitely during that season. But yes, we are taking in anywhere between 50 to 60 animals a day on average.
That's unbelievable that
It's a lot, yeah.
dealing with that many. What about
Yeah.
volunteers? I know you have a staff, obviously, but
Yes.
tell us about volunteers.
Volunteers, we rely heavily on. The shelter could not run without volunteers. If you're not wanting to adopt or you don't feel like you can make that commitment, volunteering is amazing. We require 3 hours a week for a minimum of 3 months. You can go on. Volunteers pretty much do what staff do. So for admissions, we have admissions volunteers that act as an admissions representative. We have adoptions greeters, dog walkers, enrichment, offsite. They can go to their Petcos, they can sign up to help and just enrich the cats, excuse me, that are offsite at some different adoption centers. And the process is really easy. You can apply online. And our adoption or our volunteer staff will call and kind of get a feel for what you want. We have a lot of volunteers that volunteer in different areas. So our volunteers are really invaluable to us. Dog walking is amazing, obviously. And then we're looking at building more cat enrichment programs as well.
I got a chat. I'm reading it as I'm looking at from Arlene, who wants to know about hosting a pet. I guess that would be the foster program.
So foster is amazing as well. It's another option if you're not wanting to adopt. So especially, if you're on a fixed income, things like that, and you're worried about being able to afford it. So for fostering, you basically, again, you take the foster orientation. They'll call and kind of gauge. You can choose what you want to foster. Some people just want to foster kittens of a certain age. We really are always looking for neonate fosters. That
What?
is
I'm sorry.
something. They're neonate fosters for neonate puppies and kittens. So our senior community is, I mean, that would be ideal because they are home more. Those animals require, so it's bottle feeding. So you're bottle feeding, every 2 hours, helping them go to the bathroom, things like that until they get teeth and they can eat on their own. It's a huge, huge need for the shelter. So we do animals that had orthopedic surgery, that need to kind of rest in a home until they can heal and go up for adoption. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so you can choose. We do all the vet care. We supply food, litter, whatever the animal needs, we supply. And then we also, when you come in for the vet care, we take care of the medications, all of those things. We do have, obviously guidelines for the programs as well. We don't want anybody, feeling like they need to take them to their own vet, things like that when, we're providing it. And again, that's on, they'll say, maybe you need a checkup every 2 weeks. So you just bring them back for that checkup.
What's the average length of time that people keep a fostered animal?
Totally dependent on what they need. A lot of what we send out is just because they're too young. It's those little tiny kittens coming in that, if they're a month old, be a 4-week foster period typically. A lot of times it could be a 2-week foster period. If they have like an upper respiratory and they just need medication once or twice a day, those are typically around 7 to 10 day fosters. Orthopedics can be extended foster periods as well. And then just that could be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. It's totally dependent on what they need. And then we also send sometimes case dogs. We do get case animals. Maybe there's a court case involving that animal. And as long as they're safe to go out, to a foster home, those are typically very long-term fosters.
How many people foster animals and then decide they want to keep them?
A lot.
I bet that happens a lot.
A lot of foster failures. It's kind of one of those things. I've only failed a couple of times, just because I know that these animals, especially if they're in foster, they're going out to adoption typically, and that's why they're in foster, right? So yeah, I mean, you get attached to them, especially those little neonates that you're raising, right? So, and we have a high success rate of foster parents finding adopters while they're out in foster homes. So that is also a huge benefit. And I know they like that too, because then they can go visit and things like that. So afterwards, so, and we do allow foster parents first choice to adopt. And then if they have a friend or something that would like to adopt that animal as well, then we accommodate that.
Good. What other areas do you need volunteers in?
Oh, geez, all areas. We have volunteers for veterinary services to help the animals that are recovering from surgery. Adoptions volunteers just to, walk around and greet people and give information about the animals that are up for adoption, help provide those recommendations. Dog walkers is huge. We have different levels of dog walking. So there's, you start at level 1 and then you move to level 2, which is kind of those, a lot of times it's the larger breeds with the higher energy. They're a little harder to walk, animals that aren't leash trained, that have to be leash trained. The enrichment aspect is so great, for acclimating these animals to the shelter environment, which is the most stressful environment that an animal can be in, despite, our best efforts. I mean, the dogs in our care get walked more than mine do. So And that's because of volunteers. So we have some amazing volunteers that, we have animals that maybe can't go out for adoption at our shelter because they're just not thriving in that environment, but they have great histories, or we know that they could thrive elsewhere. And until we can find placement with another organization, our volunteers really work hard at enriching those animals to keep them engaged so that we can get them out to another facility for adoption. So we have fosters that even come, or sorry, not fosters, volunteers that come in and help admin, finance, all aspects, outreach, literally every aspect of the shelter. I think that at this point we have a volunteer position for. We're looking at new volunteer programs all the time as well. So there's so many options for volunteering.
Sorry, just got another question. What time can you walk the dogs, and do you walk the same ones every time?
It just depends on how many volunteers we have. They try to get, so for volunteering, you kind of choose, we'll give you the days that we need the help the most. And it's okay if it's not one of those days, you can help whenever. Again, it's just we ask for 3 hours a week. So a lot of times the shift times are from like 10 to 1, or, the maybe like 4 to 7, just depends on what you're doing. But for general dog walking, coming in, if you want to walk with an animal, a lot of times that's just sort of dependent on how busy we are. Only because a lot of times people will have an animal out to walk them and just enrich them and visit because they can't own an animal or something. And then we have people coming in to try to visit with that animal because they do want to adopt. And so that just varies depending on how busy we are. But
where do you walk around on your campus?
Yeah, on campus. Our level 2 volunteers, once they've made it to that level, they can walk the dogs at their specific routes off campus that you can walk them as well. So we're looking at new programs all the time. We'd love to do something where people can take them out for a day, and that could be an option coming up as well. So
right,
a lot of stuff in the works.
Right. We keep talking about the website. I should mention it's hawaiianhumanesociety.org.
It's actually hawaiianhumane.org.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
hawaiianhumane.org.
Yes.
Gotcha. We didn't practice this, but could we pull up the website on your computer, or?
Yeah, actually.
Is that possible?
There's those neonates I was talking about.
Oh, cute.
They're adorable. Let's see here. Oh, I have the links for the foster care and the volunteer program.
I see. Okay.
Let me pull up our website.
What I wanted to see if we can is to go to the page where the current adoptees are available.
Yeah. Services.
Gee, we practiced other things, but we didn't do that.
I know, right? But now I know how to do it. Actually, I'm going to exit out of this PowerPoint. There we go. Can you see that?
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is available pets. So you can sort by different species, obviously. So in some of for cats, we do have offsite partners. So we do the Hawaii Cat Cafe off of Kapahulu. They've been amazing for us. And then Pounce. It's a boarding facility / resort for kitties. They also have cats. And then we are located in, I believe it's 7 Petcos off around the island. As well. So for some of these, we do let people know, please click on the picture. I think it actually has our locations everywhere. So this one is on campus. It's in Cat House Green.
Oh, okay.
And then it'll has the links for the pricing and details, the bios as well. So anything that we know based off of that animal's history is we'll try to put in on the website as well. So you can tell right away, like, do we recommend this for a person with children, or, you know, those kind of things. So
Right, right. Okay, so if I wanted to come in and see Hopper, oh, Hopper's at Petco in Kaneohe.
yep, he's at Kaneohe.
Saul is at the Cat Cafe. All right.
If they don't have a picture, it just means we're working on a better picture than their intake photo.
Oh, okay.
We will have a picture up there.
Okay, oh, the cat house, honeycomb. Okay.
Honeycomb.
I'm interested in honeycomb. So how do I make an appointment to go see honeycomb?
So you can actually just come down. You don't need to make an appointment. You can join our wait list. Like I said, the website is in real time. So if honeycomb goes off the website, that means she's been adopted. But yeah, so dogs get adopted quicker typically. Well, puppies and kittens go pretty quick. But you know, it just depends on the personalities and things like that as well. So, but you just come down, you can sign in, you can go visit with them before you sign in. You can visit with all the cats in there. And then if you decide you want to adopt at that time, then you can join the wait list. Again, that's just the QR code with your smartphone, or you can talk to one of the representatives and they can sign you up. And then we just go in order. So we don't put animals on hold typically, like I said, unless we do one of those companion profiles, and then we would call you. But it's pretty easy. There's no application. We just ask kind of the basic, you know, what are you looking for? The goal is to get all of these animals, you know, into a home at the end of the night. So we try to make it as easy as possible. Dogs, to visit with one, we ask that people do sign up immediately on the wait list, because we can't have everybody going into the kennels and things. Yeah, so if you're interested in dogs, we just have people sign up on the wait list. Same with small animals. Those are pretty simple. We'll pull those out, and we have little play yards that we can put them in, so you can interact with those guys as well.
What do you have other than dogs and cats?
Oh my goodness. We get a little bit of everything in. So we have birds. We get in birds a lot of times. Ducks. We adopted a duck out recently. It was a very friendly duck.
Really?
She walked on a leash and everything. She was adorable. Yeah, I mean, you never know. We have gotten goats in before. We try to find placement for those kind of animals, but a lot of guinea pigs, rabbits, rats, which make great pets, the occasional chinchilla.
Oh, we can have chinchillas in Hawaii. I said we can have chinchillas in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't really have an answer for when people ask me. We're not allowed to have hamsters, but we're allowed to have, you know, guinea pigs, and we're allowed to have chinchillas, things like that. So it's not really sure how that delegation happened, but
yeah, you'd think that if hamsters and guinea pigs are so similar.
I know. Yeah. And they breed just as quickly. And I know that that's the concern. So it's
right.
Yeah, we have a lot. We just had a small animal special because we had over 30 guinea pigs and rabbits and just all kinds, mice, all kinds of pets.
And these just come to you from people that are giving them up?
Yep, or strays, yeah. So we'll see a lot. It's really, really hard right now for people to get their animals off island when they're moving.
I know it's sometimes difficult for military families.
Yes.
Because a lot of times they have to move really quickly and they don't know their living situation when they get to wherever they're going to go.
Yeah. And again, that just goes into kind of having that plan in advance. We ask that we're the last resort for an animal, versus trying to rehome on your own, because you know your pet the best. So finding them a new home yourself is the ideal, obviously. But I mean, again, that's what we're there for. And like you said, sometimes people don't have, it's an immediate thing. I have to go. And so obviously that is what we are here for, is for those pets. So it just goes into, yeah, like I said, having that plan for your pet. So sometimes people will choose a small animal, maybe they have kids, things like that, versus, something that's a little bit easier, maybe. You can't really travel with those guys. I don't know if you can fly them off the island. I don't believe you can. So, but we do ask people, what is your plan if you are military? Have you looked at what it does take to get your pet off the island? Stuff like that. So
Right, that's important, and that's probably something a lot of people don't think about. It's just
no,
doesn't occur to
yeah,
them.
yeah,
But to have a plan is very important, because
yep,
who knows, something could happen tomorrow. And then the other thing is, a lot of people get that may be in situations where they've got pets and it's all fine, but then they have to move and they can't find a place that takes pets.
right.
So
That is, especially here in Hawaii, it's
yeah,
extremely difficult. Yeah. So those are the main reasons that we do see animals come in, is
yeah.
moving and unable to find, housing for all their animals. There's a lot of people too that have the, a large, maybe 3 pets and they can only take one, and that's so difficult. And it's just kind of the unfortunate aspect of housing right now, but
Right, right.
that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Then and then you have your own staff goes out and can pick up stray animals.
Yes.
If you find one and you call in, somebody will come out and pick it up.
Yep. So our humane investigators, our field service officers, they do that. They'll do pickups. If you find a stray animal, VCA, they're amazing. They will allow people to bring strays into them, and they'll
And
hold
who's
on
that?
to
I'm
it.
sorry.
VCA.
Oh, VP. Okay, VCA.
The vet clinics. Yep.
Yeah.
So we do we are contracted to go out and pick up stray dogs. Cats, we don't do like the trapped cats anymore, things like that. If you're unable to bring it to the shelter, you can call for a pickup for cat, or an owner surrender, or if your animal is suffering and needs to be humanely euthanized, then you can have an officer come and pick it up. There's generally a fee associated with it, but for stray dogs, there's no fees. We just come out and pick up.
Okay, so the city has an animal control division, correct? Or
We are contracted with the city for.
okay, so you do that work.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep,
all right.
that's us.
So if somebody has, say, a mean looking little dog that looks like it's going to bite and you don't want to get close to it, that's a
Yep.
stray in your neighborhood, they
Mhm.
can call you and somebody will come out and deal with
They
it.
can call. It's best if they can get that animal contained, because it's hard for us to come out and try to find some. If it's not contained, right,
yeah.
it's not going to be in that area. It's probably going to run off elsewhere. But a lot of times we have people that are able to contain them in some way, shape, or form, maybe in a yard area or whatever it is. And then we can come out and do the pickup, so you don't have to do any of the handling or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know if it's an unknown
But
dog.
if it's an actual loose, aggressive dog that's trying to bite, we will come out for that. So yeah, if you're just not comfortable, handling that animal or whatever, you can call regardless, and then we'll kind of survey that situation and say, okay, yes, an officer needs to go out. So we will go out for loose, aggressive dogs regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
But best of all worlds is if you could get it into an enclosed space.
Yeah.
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 And then call.
But don't put yourself in harm's way to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's only like if it got into your yard maybe and you're not going outside, but you can close the gate or whatever, but if an animal is showing any kinds of aggression, it's best to just stay away from it altogether. Give us a call. Yeah.
Are there any kind of animals you don't take care of, or that you wouldn't?
We don't take in wildlife. We don't have
Mongoose.
Yeah, we don't take mongoose in. Obviously, they're not pets. We only take in domesticated animals. like I said, wildlife, technically the duck was a wildlife, but it was owned. So it was no longer wild, it was a domesticated duck. So we go by that. Jackson chameleons, if they've been pets, you know, we do take in tortoises. Red-eared sliders are considered wildlife, again, unless they've been owned as a pet, and haven't been out into an actual wildlife environment. But yeah, we don't, baby birds, things like that, we can't take. We do have recommendations for those things on our website though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. HawaiianHumane.org. And then right there. Anything else on the website you want to show us?
Oh man, we have a lot of stuff coming up on the website. Let's see here. So I will say, let's see. So we have the humane investigations out there as well, spay and neuter. Obviously very, very important. That's our spay neuter clinic. Let's see here. Lost and found. Biggest thing, like the get involved, these are kind of some of the events we have coming up. That's where you find that foster link and then the volunteer with us. You know, for our topic today, those are the two main links that I want to make sure everybody knows of. We are always in need of foster parents. That is one of our number one needs. And then volunteering, again, we could not operate our facility without volunteers. They're invaluable. We have more volunteers than we have staff. So that's why.
If you want to be a foster, you kind of get on a list, and then when you
so you just go to, let's see here. So you can apply. So these are kind of some of our requirements for it. Again, it's the time and commitment. You have to be able to take them to and from the shelter for their checkups, and then the housing aspect. And then, yeah, if you're fostering, you have to be at least 18 years of age. This is one of our foster kitties in the home. So cute.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Yeah, that would be very difficult to take one of those and then
I know.
have to turn it back in. Yeah.
They are adorable. But, you know, like I said, they get adopted in no time flat. You know, right, coming up soon, the cat houses are going to be full of kittens, and we're already seeing puppies. So, but fostering.
What is the season? Is it spring? Is it
seasons? Typically, we're starting to see those little neonates come in now. And if we don't have enough foster parents for them, we do work with the other organizations who've been so great on the island, that we partner with, that they can take as well, so that we try to come up with as many options as we can. We offer kitten kits for those guys too. So if you find some and you're willing to give it a try, you can come to us for the supplies. But let's see here. Where is it? So then you can come down. There's like a general overview of how the program works, what foster volunteers do, what we provide, and the kinds of animals. And then you can go through the kinds and say, yes, I can, this is probably more my speed. You know, sometimes we just send out rabbits and guinea pigs because they're pregnant and we, you know, need to, or we think they might be pregnant. We don't spay guinea pigs. We do spay rabbits. So it's usually guinea pigs because they mate very quickly. And so we get a lot of possibly pregnant guinea pigs in, and people will just hold on to them until they have their kids. So
it seems like a natural for those of us that are seniors.
Yep.
To do it. We have, you know, those that are lucky enough to be retired
Yep.
have more time to spend.
Yeah.
And then if you're a foster, if you're going away on a trip for a month or something, you just kind of be on hold, right? And
Yep.
then
You just, yeah, we have them, they call in and say, hey, I'm going on a cruise for 2 weeks or whatever it is.
yeah,
So I'll let you know when I come back and can pull up new fosters. Yeah. So it's fostering, I think, is one of my number one suggestions, especially if you are a senior and you are very active. Just because so many people want to be able to do it, but like you said, maybe they're just not home as often, um, or adoption isn't for everybody. You're on a fixed income, and animal care, medical care in Hawaii is very expensive. So
right,
yeah,
right.
foster is fabulous. You are helping an animal that we can't provide that kind of care necessarily in our environment, and we know that it needs to go to a home to heal or to grow or to whatever. We don't want to see a kitten in the shelter for 6 weeks when it could be in a home, getting that in socialization and enrichment. And obviously they're exposed to a lot less. When they come into the shelter, they're exposed to animals that may or may not have been vaccinated, might have contagious diseases, things like that. So it's just a safer environment. And then they can acclimate to a home, which is what we want for them. So
Right. I assume you do microchipping on all your
yes.
cats
Yeah.
and dogs.
Yep. I think the only thing we don't microchip right now is guinea pigs, and exotic animals, just because that usually takes some sort of specialty person doing it. But yes, everything is microchipped when it goes out to foster care, all that stuff.
What's your favorite part of your job?
Ooh, I do love helping people. The animals is kind of a no-brainer. That's the best part of my day. I start my day out visiting something. I always have one or two that like really, really catch my eye that I'm just like, I'm gonna go visit that one. They're always the senior animals. I always listen for the old kitty meow, and the little gray face for the dogs. That's my favorite. So that's typically what I go towards. So I start my day and end it that way, and just thinking about what the best part of my day was, but really helping people out. It's so wonderful to make a match, and find somebody, their life companion,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to just think about that animal is getting into a car and going to a home that night. And it's just really, really rewarding. There's so many amazing people in our community, and to be able to speak with them every day and um, have that kind of support is phenomenal.
Um, my husband and I want to help out. We could donate. Do you take, I'm not reading this right. Do you take donations of food, I guess, and other items
We do.
in addition to money?
Yes, we actually have, and I can go on to the website here, is ways to give. We have, so there's a couple of things on there, but we also have a wish list of goods that we
Okay.
need on a daily basis. And you can do the shop smile at Amazon, so you can pick the shelter you're going to support, and we are on there. You can donate to our pet food bank. We typically we ask that the bags of food and things not be opened. Generally, we can't take expired stuff like that, but these are the items that we like. Oh, there it is, unopened, non-expired.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the items that we need the most, for sure.
And toys too, huh?
Yep. Oh yeah, toys.
Oh,
I
very
love seeing all the animals play with toys. Yeah, those are the things that we need the most.
okay,
And
great.
a
So
lot of
that,
these things are things that we pass out to volunteers to our foster parents
okay,
as
that's
well.
in the ways to give section.
Yep.
Okay.
Ways to give. Our pet food bank is also in need of these kind of items. Our outreach team goes out into the community and helps out, our houseless community, things like that. So once a month, they can come in and get pet food for their animals. If they have, we ask, how many you have. Do you have dogs and cats, things like that. We don't have a lot of small animal stuff in there, but we'll find a way. It's just so important to help keep pets in their home. So a lot of these items also help support that effort.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. And then I assume if they want to donate money, I see the donate button up there on the top, right?
Yep, up there on the top.
They can just choose that. And then the Amazon Smile is an option too. That's a great program. Good. What about now that kind of COVID is winding down? What events do you have coming up?
So we have one of our biggest events for the shelter is Tuxes and Tails, and that's going to be with a lot of the groups and things that we partner with, donors and sponsors and things. The biggest one for the community is our pet walk.
Yeah.
That'll be in the fall. We do have a couple of adoption events, I believe, coming up in May. We have, let's see here. Events, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's sponsorship and fundraising. A lot of our events are adoption based. So we'll have different, we had the Subaru event where they sponsor the adoption fees. So the fees are basically waived. You can give a donation if you want to, but Subaru sponsored all of the adoption fees as well. So they're a great partner. Yeah,
nice. Okay, we're running out of time here. Is there anything else you want to mention that I have not brought up or that we haven't talked about?
Oh, geez. Probably, but
yeah, probably. I can't
come up with it right now, but
and I think we got all our questions answered from the chat screen. So I think we're
okay.
Safe. Great. How do people reach you?
So you can either call, let me see if I'm on here. I don't think I am, but
they can just call and ask for you.
They can call and ask. I can, my email address, let's see, can I put that up here? Is jlemaster@hawaiianhumane.org.
Okay.
And I'm more than happy to either direct you to the person you need to go to or answer any questions you might have as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Jenny, thank you so much. I think this has been very informational and we got a lot covered. And hopefully we can maybe persuade some people, especially seniors, to think about adopting or maybe fostering a pet.
Yeah, in the future. For sure. No, I appreciate the opportunity. I love talking about the shelter, and I love, obviously seeing people with pets or helping animals, the homeless population on our island.
Okay, tell everybody the names of your pets.
Oh, I have, come here, Frank. Come here.
Let's see how, ooh, the training is good. Who's that?
Frank. He was the one that had all of his teeth pulled, so his tongue hangs out. And then I have Kevin and Patrice. She's a 17-year-old cat. And then I have a rabbit that we just acquired named Roland, who actually, and again, you can train small animals. He's litter box trained. So he has free roam of the house. He uses a litter box. He has a little place that he goes and eats, but he hangs out with the dog and the cat all day.
And okay.
Yep.
And if you're holding him, he doesn't make a mess?
No, he's good. He only uses his litter box.
Very good.
I got lucky. I did not train him that way. He came that way.
That's good. That's good. Jenny, thank you so much for being with us today. And best of luck in the future. And
thank you.
Let's keep in touch. And
that sounds great. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okay. And we invite all of you to get back with us on Generations Magazine for our next webinar. And if you want to contact us, if you missed any of the information, this webinar will be posted on our website in a couple of days. So we appreciate it. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.